the first vlog I've done in a while. I didn't realize I hadn't vlogged like anything at all last week, so I do apologize for that. There's just a lot going on with the hotel I was working at. I did leave that job. Yesterday was my last day. And then just a lot of stuff going on at home. Then we had the flooding. I mean, there was just a ton of stuff. And apparently on Friday we are potentially going to be getting some more rain with a tropical storm coming through. Fun? Are we having fun yet? So just, let's see. I'll pull up my thing here because I want to make sure I am relaying accurate information. Last week, on Tuesday, I completed Anne Boleyn, A King's Obsession. There was one part about this book that I really wish that they'd added because I feel like it was a large part, at least for Henry, and could have really affected him in the future, and that was his big fall when he was at that tourney when Anne was pregnant. In fact, Anne actually blamed the stress of that fall for why she had miscarried. So I really wish that there was more, that was actually present, but it wasn't. It does mention the old injury he'd sustained on his thigh, which it will cause him grief for the rest of his life in these books. But it doesn't mention like how he'd gotten it. It was like a very brief glance over when I feel like that was a very important moment for Henry and for Anne, because that was, of course, all of her miscarriages were part of the reason that he felt like he needed another wife. And that she got accused of adultery and incest and witchcraft and all this other stuff. Speaking of, the accusation of witchcraft was there, but not nearly to the extent that I would have thought it would be. Because, that was one of the big things. Of course, the big thing was, the fact that she was an adulterer. She was the Queen of England, and she was, an adulterer. And she was trying to... And she had been with her brother. That were the big things, the incest and the adultery. But she was accused of witchcraft. And it doesn't feel like it was really heavily mentioned. Although that should have been a bigger thing, because one of the reasons that they burned many people at the stake was for witchcraft, or women in particular, was witchcraft. So I feel like that it was lacking. But after that book, I did start... Gigi's behind the couch getting into things she's not supposed to, so that's what you're probably hearing. I did start When the Moon Hatched, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. It is so good. Yeah, it's really good. It's definitely a romantasy. So if you don't like romantasy, it's probably not going to be for you. But it's just a duology. When the Moon Hatched, is definitely a different story than I am used to hearing. You still have your basic elements of fantasy, romantasy, things like that. But the magic system, it's not dominant. It's very much, at the moment, it's very much like a subtle thing. There was one surprise that I'd already kind of figured out. Because I was like, okay, well, it's either A or B. And turns out that it was B of what was going on there. That's not saying that it's a bad book. It's just saying, that it wasn't a big shock whenever they revealed it, which kind of stinks. But I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. Yeah, I'm just enjoying it. That's really the only thing I can say about it. Last night, I finished This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Ilona Andrews, which is the husband and wife duo. And this book, it's classified as a portal fantasy or an epic fantasy, and it is amazing. This was a 5-star or 4.95, a 5-star read for me, and I absolutely loved it. And it sucks that this is a new release because the way it ends, massive cliffhanger. So if you're not into cliffhangers, don't pick it up. Wait till the rest of the series comes out. But I don't actually know. I am really excited. Maybe I'm thinking of the one I'm currently reading, but I am really excited for this. This was the first book I got from the Caffeine and Legends series. You have your basic blue sprayed edges that are beautiful. This cover is just, I really do love it. One thing I think should possibly be a little different is that this tower here makes it look, the way it is, it makes it look like it's a prominent feature in the book, but it's really not. They mention it a few times, but that's about it. But yeah, so the big reveal that you get at the end of this book, I suspected a version of about a little over the midway point, or maybe under the midway point. But I suspected something similar to what was actually revealed. So it kind of sucks that it wasn't such a huge surprise. It was a bit of one, and then the ending, that was the bigger surprise. It definitely explained why the antagonist is who it was or is. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because that gives away the ending. But yeah, so ending of this book, big cliffhanger, 5 stars. Since I finished this guy, I did start my next book, which is Kissed by the Gods by Katie Rogan, I believe is how you pronounce her name. And this one came from Allurial last month. And this sprayed edges are gorgeous. And then you kind of might not be able to see it very well on this side, but here we have some mountain ranges and we have another Pegasus over here. But you get these beautiful, beautiful, stunning pictures on the inside covers. So this book, I'm not too far yet. How far am I? 60 some odd pages in, 63 pages in, on chapter 9. But this one is really good so far. This is 528 pages. So it's a hefty. She's a hefty gal. But I really am enjoying this book so far. So there is reasons, of course, for what you see here. The feather, of course, because you have the Pegasus creatures, which are actually called Faravar. That's what it looks like it's pronounced. And then the scythe here is going to be our main character's weapon of choice. There is this is a debut novel. This is Katie Rogan's very first novel. It was published last year in 2025. She does have a prequel novella that is free on her website, which I will probably go and pick up. Because it definitely seems like it is interesting. There are some trigger warnings in the beginning of it. I don't like reading trigger warnings, but that's also because I feel like they spoil a bit of the book. But here are those content warnings, not trigger warnings. I guess they're technically I guess they're technically the same thing. But yeah, so this has some content warnings. So basically, you have your main character, who I believe the name is pronounced Lena. She is she's in a group of people called the Silencia. And basically, those are going to be your farmers, you're extremely downtrodden, you're extremely poor. Her family has already lost 2 people to what they call the Collection, which is the city of Farengar, or the kingdom of Farengar, collecting the able-bodied young men to go work in the mines or go work as soldiers. Her father did it, and they came to collect her bow as it's, I believe it's pronounced in here. And then also, and also one of her elder brothers, Levi. Apparently, there was some stuff happened, and essentially 3 people died that day. Well, I believe it's a year to 6 months later. The soldiers are coming back for one of her other brothers, Seb, not Sebastian. Is it Sebastian? Either Seb or either Sebastian, would they nickname him Seb, or Seb? Either way, he's mostly just called Seb. And something inside her kind of doesn't break, but doesn't exactly like it that he is being taken away from the family. So something inside her kind of snaps, and so her family is torn apart, and she is taken to Synod, I believe it's pronounced, and because it's learned that she's an Ator, A-T-O-R, I believe it says, an Adder, an Ator, call it what you will. But it's unusual because not only has no Silencia ever been an Ator, but no woman has ever been an Ator. I am a little concerned about it because sometimes women in books have been a little too OP, a little too Mary Sue. But I'm going into it because so far it seems pretty good. 63 pages in, I'm really enjoying it. I just hope that when it comes to the training moments, you actually see a bit of a struggle, because I know that there are a lot of times where you don't nowadays because they're women or something. It does worry me. And yes, I know that that's an unpopular opinion, or could be an unpopular opinion, but that is a legitimate concern of mine. But yes, I think I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go for the time being. Got lots of running around to do, but I'm not going to be recording it because it's private information. That is going to be passed back and forth. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you guys. Well, you guys will probably see me in a moment, but I'll see you guys either later or in the evening or tomorrow. See you in a bit. Good morning, everyone. So I didn't do any other recordings last night like I was going to, or yesterday like I was going to. We just had a lot going on, and then when we got back to the house, there wasn't really much time between. I did eventually be able to sit down and read, but I doom scrolled more than I read. So now I'm on page 82, and I was on page 60 something before that. So 20 pages. It's not bad. So here it is. So I didn't get, like I said, I didn't get too far. I'm on page 82. So I'm 16% of the way in. I am still enjoying it. So when I actually was able to sit down and read, I was in it. I was dedicated to it. It was all I wanted to do was to read it. But then, my friend would send me something on Instagram, and then that would start the doom scroll. So I am marking today as a no doom scroll day. I'm going to do my best to try and not get onto social media. Like if my friend sends me something, I'll go and I'll look at it, I'll respond to it, so that way I'm not ignoring him. But I'm also not going to just go to the next little clip video or whatever. Other than that, not much happened. Just like I said, we had a lot of running around to do yesterday, and we even have that again today. Like my grandmother has a physical therapy appointment. Then after that, we have to go back to the courthouse. After that, we have some time in between to kill, in which case I will probably either be reading or embroidering, which means I'll still be listening to my audiobook. It's whatever one suits my fancy first. I might do some embroidering that way, get some crafting done as well today. That way I'm not solely working on just my physical book as much as I'm enjoying it. I'm also really enjoying When the Moon Hatched. And then after that, she has another appointment with a doctor. So in this book, in Kissed by the Gods, she had been injured previously in one of the books, and that's when it was confirmed that she was an Ator. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called perfectly. She also, and so where I'd left off, she was going into the infirmary, and where we have who I think is going to be our main love interest. Pretty sure with how he's reacting right now. He was keeping a very watchful eye on her. He didn't trust the medic who was in there because it wasn't the main medic, or the main healer. It was more of a combat medic versus a healer. And he was required to leave to go, put in a report because he had been sent to go do one thing, and then in the end he did another. It's really early on in the book. Like I said, only the first 80 pages, but I don't want to give away what happens in it at all, because this is really good book. So far, I'm like 80 pages in. I am recommending it to those of you who love the romantasy. No dragons, but we do have, of course, our Pegasus. And then she met the heir to the throne, who, not the nicest woman in the world, from my understanding, from the way it sounds like, but that's just interesting dynamics and all that. And now she's not in a trial, but there's like a meeting, I guess, about what to do with her. So she's met the princess, the crown princess. She's at least seen the king, like he's in the meeting, but apparently he has no sway. Like, here, let me find it. It said the synods, I really hope I'm pronouncing that word right, stands apart from the crown and the laws of men. It answers to no throne. Even the wards carry the god's mark and walk above the heads of kings. In Farengard, the Altor, not a Tor, bow only to the elder and the will of the divine. So even though the king is there, he sounds like he's not going to have any say on anything that happens in this place, which sounds pretty interesting. Because they are marked by the gods. Hence the name, Kissed by the Gods. So that is where I left off last night. I was too tired to keep on going. In When the Moon Hatched, things are progressing. I'm 75% of the way through that book, and I don't want to give anything away on that front. But things are progressing. I'm now getting more perspectives from different characters instead of just one main character, Rave, and then the diary entries of Elowain, I forgot how to pronounce her name. I'm now getting perspectives of Khan, who is our love interest, and then his sister Vera? I can't remember how to pronounce her name perfectly. So now I'm getting 4 perspectives because they're all doing something a little different. Rave. So Elowain is doing something else entirely. Hers is all the past stuff. So we're getting to see how she had met her love interest, what had happened to her family, things like that. So we're learning that information. With Khan, we had already learned that there was an issue of ticks with the dragons and what could happen, and then we saw the reality of what did happen. And now one of his second in command is actually asking to go on leave for personal reasons, which you learn about in the book. And Rave, she's still figuring things out. She wants to go and get vengeance on the person who had ended up turning her in. to the people who nearly killed her in the beginning. But there's still a lot of stuff that she's trying to figure out. Something was holding her back. And I think she found it. She found what was holding her back. And I haven't heard from her since. So I am excited to hear more. And I will be hearing more whenever, of course, I'm driving from where all other places I need to go today. But yeah, so yesterday was a good day reading-wise when it comes to my audiobook because I got 10% more of it in. So yes, technically I did a lot of reading, but because I wasn't physically reading, I do count it as reading. Like if you prefer audiobooks, that's great. But that's still listening. If that makes sense. It's not reading. I hope I'm not sounding like, an absolutely awful human being. Because while I do see it as reading, I'm not, and for me personally, I understand it's reading, I understand that, but it's for me personally, it's listening. It's like I'm listening to music. I'm listening to the book, and while I'm still consuming that literature, it's still activating the same parts of the brain that reading a physical book would do for me. I think she found a rock. Did you find a rock? I still, for me personally, it counts, but it's not the same. If that makes sense. It's a very long way of saying it's not the same. It activates the same part of the brain and all this other stuff, but to me, again, it's just not the exact same. So I don't always see it as me getting a lot of reading done, if that makes sense. I hope I didn't just offend anyone. Anyway, I'm hoping to get quite a bit more in with... Where are you so far back? Come here. I'm hoping to get a lot more in with Kissed by the Gods. This is the book I'm going to read after Kissed by the Gods. I'm not going to reveal it yet, so you just have to wait. And then I'm hoping to I'm definitely going to be getting further in with When the Moon Hatched. I also have a video that I'm going to be recording today for you guys, which I'm really excited for. It's just a book review, and I'm really excited for it. I'm also going to do a Herkyet update. Actually, I might hold off until next. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hold off on that Herkyet update until the end of the week. So you'll see it, but it won't be I won't be actually recording it until like Saturday. So that way I can post it on Sunday for you guys. But yeah, so that is it for today. Or for this morning, I should say. For this morning. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Or either tomorrow or later on in the day. Bye. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. So, had a lot going on today. We didn't actually get home for the day until 5:30. It was a bit ridiculous. We have a very light day tomorrow, so I will finally be able to do my crafting. But I was actually able to finish the audiobook. So When the Moon Hatched is officially complete. And it got a 4.9 stars. So 4.75 if we're doing the quarter. 5 stars if you're only doing by half. Pretty exciting. Unfortunately, there were a lot of things that I did kind of see coming. I was hoping something would happen, but in the end it didn't, and it kind of makes sense with the characters, but I was still hoping it would happen. The important bit, of course, is the fact we did find out everything we needed to know in order to really... anyway, so I'm glad that we figured out a lot of stuff. Like, some of the stuff is, like, really... all the boxes are being checked off. There's still more to come. Like, you know that there's more to come because it leaves you with that big cliffhanger. But certain plots are all wrapped up with messy bows. Again, I was hoping something else would happen. Like, I'm not going to say what it is because that would just give away part of the story. But I was hoping it would happen and it didn't do it. So like, I don't know. Next time. Next book. There is another book. It is a duology. So there's one more book, which I'm super excited to eventually read. We all know how I am with series. I think I have like, over 100 series that I'm not done with yet. Also, I got a book that came in today. My new release for the month of July came in, and that is Henry Tudor Must Die by Gillian Lane. Is a new release. It came out yesterday. And this is also a debut novel for Miss Gillian. I think she has some kids' novels, and then she's also a journalist. Yes. One thing I really am very worried about is it's going to be heavy on the woman power and all this other stuff, which don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, women back then, yeah, they were pretty downtrodden. But I really hope that it's not going to be too much to where I do not enjoy the book, if that makes sense. I don't have long to read it for Her Kid 1 because you have to read it within the same month. So for Her Kid 1, I really do not have a long time to read it. I only have the next, 8 days? But it's only 350 pages. I mean, look at that. There you go. Yeah, it's only 350 pages, so it shouldn't be too bad. We've already met 2 characters. We've met Anne Boleyn, and we met Catherine of Aragon, who is also called Lena. This is a narrator. What's her name? Margaret d'Angeline. Marguerite d'Angeline, which is a princess of France, Duchess of Alencon and Berry, Queen of Navarre, and your illustrious and mostly reliable narrator. Yes, there is an entire cast of characters here. So we have same era, just, you know, it's obviously very fictional, alternate universe, so which actually worked out for Her Kid 3. I did do this one as a remix, an alternate universe remix for Her Kid 3. I hope that this works for it. It should work for it, right? Because obviously Anne Boleyn and Catherine of Aragon never worked together to kill Henry. Wherever you stand on witchcraft being real, it is a possibility that Anne Boleyn I'm assuming that Anne Boleyn had never practiced, was never a practitioner, and neither was Catherine. But apparently, like, all the wives are going to get together and try to kill Henry. So I imagine we're going to have at least 5 protagonists. Maybe not, because it only says 1 queen exiled, another headed for the gallows, both hungry for revenge. England's most infamous queens unite in vengeance against Henry VIII. So the only ones it really mentions is, of course, Catherine and Anne, at being our primary characters. Jane Seymour has been mentioned, but that's only because she's Henry's next wife. I mean, Anne knew about his affair with Jane before she went to the gallows. So again, I'm excited for it. I'm a little nervous about it, but I am excited for it. It should be a very fun read, a very fun take on, you know, just like an alternate history sort of deal for Anne Boleyn and Catherine working together instead of trying to kill each other. There's that. But yeah, so I don't know how this book will end. I can only hope it ends with the way they're wanting, because I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty funny. If they're going to say that the cause of Henry's death is due to these 2 queens, I think that would be very round circle sort of vibe, because there's a lot of questions about, like, his burial, I think it was. Like, did the dogs actually drink his blood, or it's all this other stuff, and so yeah, I'm pretty excited about finishing this book. I've only just started, so I'm like, 15? Yeah, I'm only about 15 pages in. As you guys can see, I still have some daylight outside. I'm going to continue reading this for the next hour, 15 minutes or so, before I go to bed. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited to keep on going with this. Tomorrow, I'm going to start the book called Beartown by Fredrik Backman. which is a literary novel, which is really going to help with Herked 1 because that will take that confusing genre off the table for those genre reads. But yeah, so that's what's going to happen with that. Beartown I'm going to start tomorrow as an audiobook, and then after that audiobook, I'm going to do She Who Became the Sun. That's going to be the next one. The only reason I chose Beartown first, because they're both due at the same time. The only reason I chose Beartown first is because people are constantly putting it on hold, so, which means it might not be available on the day that it's due to go back, so I might not be able to renew it, first off. And second, it's a shorter book. It's only 13 hours versus 15 hours. And the reason I stopped reading Kissed by the Gods, which, by the way, there was more to that than just what I was assuming, is because, again, I only have like 8 days to finish this, and I was really nervous I wouldn't be able to get to it. So that is all for that. Anyway, but yeah, so really excited to continue this one. Really interested to see how it's going to turn out, because it mentioned all the wives. Like, in the cast of characters, it actually mentions all of Henry's wives, all the way down to Catherine Parr. Let me get that out of the way so I can see. There we go. So you have Catalina de Aragon, or Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, or Anna von Clèves. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Catherine Howard, and then, of course, Catherine Parr. But yeah, so that is what's going on with this. So I am pretty excited to keep on going. I hope you guys, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Actually, probably more like tomorrow afternoon, or late morning, early afternoon. Because while we don't have much to do, we are going to go out, but I might record before we go out. And then you guys will just see like me doing embroidery or me reading this guy. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys. Morning, everyone. You're gonna notice there's a gap in the days. Yesterday, we had to say goodbye to one of our fur babies, or one of my grandmother's fur babies. Which was a very tough day. So I am here, not like a redo. This is not going to be the last day I record for this week. I'm still possibly doing tomorrow, but tomorrow's going to be more of like, I don't know. Anyway. So while I didn't do a lot of reading, I did do some. And of course, my physical book of Henry Tudor Must Die by Gillian Lane. So far, I'm not really enjoying it. While the characters of Catalina and Anne, or Lena and Anne, are done very well, I think this author is leaning very heavily on the fact that they are both extremely devoted mothers, and granted, I'm not that far in. I'm only 70 pages in. Sorry, the dogs saw a deer or something outside. But yeah, so I'm only like 70 pages into this book. But I'm not enjoying it. Like, I feel like it leans very heavily on a lot of feminist ideals, modern feminist ideals. While Anne Boleyn did try to take the money from the monasteries and like put it into ways to help the less fortunate, because they were taking away the monasteries while she was queen. So they're taking away like some of the easier access that the less fortunate, that the peasantry, the merchants, the more less fortunate. I'm just gonna call them less fortunate. The poor. She did want to put the money into helping those who were less fortunate. That is, I believe that is actually a proven detail. It's been in every detail about Anne Boleyn that I've read, including the Anne Boleyn, A King's Obsession, the Tudor series that I watched, and everything that I've read or fiction-wise, read or watched fiction-wise about Anne Boleyn, does show that that is what she wanted to do. So I'm not taking it as gospel, but you know, it's a higher probability. This one is very, I feel like they're putting like a lot of modern day feminist ideals into the hands of these women, or into the minds of these women. And I'm not, when I read a historical fiction, I try to put my mind in the ideals of what was going on in that time frame. I believe that it is possible that Catherine, Henry's first wife, did love him until her dying day. She might not have been happy with him, but I believe that she did love him. I like to believe that Anne may not have loved Henry at first. She might have seen it as a very political move, a strategic move for her entire family and herself, primarily. But I do believe that she did love him in the end. Granted, the way he treated particularly these two women, I understand the anger and the resentment, but I'm not getting a lot of that from Catherine. And in this timeline, it's only been 4 or 5 months since she was dead. So you would think that, given the circumstances of what happened between her and Henry, particularly with Mary, you would think Catherine would definitely still be very angry. Maybe she's doing small things to appease some of that longing for revenge. But apparently, Catherine was a good Catholic woman in medieval times. But in this one, she doesn't seem to have those same strengths of beliefs, and I'm not sure I like that. Yes, that time frame was very not great for women. I'm calling it like it is. Looking back with modern ideals, it was not great for women. Let's face it, there was a lot of things that women could not do. But there were a lot of things that women could do. Especially in the nobility. Like, noble women were very political minded because that was where a lot of their power could have lied. Now, England, depending on when you're talking about who was ruling at the time, maybe England was a bit behind on some of those stuff, and eventually these women would have to learn they'd have to be very careful around Henry himself. But these women are very politically minded. Now, Anne also had a temper, which is possibly part of her downfall, is that she has a massive temper, which is definitely something you want in your mistress, but not in your queen. Especially because Henry was looking for someone who was like his own mother, who seemed very demure, very behind the scenes. Now, I personally believe Elizabeth of York, Catherine of Aragon, Elizabeth of York and Jane Seymour were very political behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Catherine of Aragon and Anne Boleyn were very upfront about their political maneuvering. They were trying to be very political about their daughters, about their countries, and things like that. So that's not what Henry would have wanted. He wanted someone who was like his mother, who he perceived as like his mother, who he saw as the perfect queen, which was a very demure, very behind-the-scenes woman while his father ruled. That doesn't mean that she didn't put in her 2 cents. But that does mean that Henry wouldn't have seen that. And I think that's the big difference, is that that's what he was looking for. He was looking for the perfect woman. And Henry didn't want that. Henry wanted, like I said, he wanted the perfect queen. And unfortunately, Catherine was a great queen. Her only downfall, in Henry's mind, was that she had no son to carry on the family name, which back then was a big deal. So yeah, in that time frame, I understand the concern. I understand the issue that he might have had. And that being said, do I think he treated these women well? Of course not. He's not the greatest guy. So let's leave it at that. The other book, I actually started my audiobook of Beartown. yesterday, and so far I'm not enjoying it. Like, it's definitely a mystery because, like, the way it starts, like, this is not going to spoil anything. It's literally the first line of the book is that a teenager grabs a double-barrel shotgun, goes into the woods, and shoots another teenager in the head. So now you're wondering, well, who's the teenager who died? Who's the teenager who actually had the shotgun? So it's a curiosity, but as of right now, I'm not enjoying it. And considering the events of yesterday, that was not a great way to start my morning because that was the first line of a book that both my grandmother and I heard, knowing that we were potentially going to lose the oldest dog in the house that day. And in the end, we did, and it was very painful, but he is no longer suffering, which is the only thing that we can ask for. But yeah, so far, Beartown, I'm not enjoying it. There's no particular reason, but like all it's done so far is really just introduce characters, and I'm just not picking it up. It's not great. I'm gonna try and read through it, at least get to the 25% mark. If I'm still not enjoying it, I'm going to DNF it. It is what it is, and then I won't pick up the rest of the series, of course, because there's no point in picking up the rest of a series if I'm not going to enjoy the first book, and I probably won't enjoy the next book. I don't know if it's the writing style, or I don't know if it's just this book in particular, so I'm definitely willing to give this author another go-round, just not with this series. Anywho's it. I don't know if I'm going to be doing Bookstar next year just because of the amount of TBR I always seem to have. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm at that point. It's like, I'm not enjoying either of these books. I don't want to DNF Henry Tudor Must Die because it is my new release for July. And for Her Kid 1, you have to finish it by the end of July. Now, I'm going to give myself an extra few days because of the events of yesterday. Because I wasn't really in a reading mood. Obviously. You're very noisy with that toy. Gigi is eating a toy literally right next to my laptop, which is why you're hearing it so clearly. That's what you're hearing, I promise. She's destroying a toy. But yeah, so that's pretty much all that happened yesterday. Today we got a few errands we gotta do. I'm trying to avoid my phone, but I've gotten into those like really short drama reels. Some of them are actually pretty good, but there's a lot of it that I'm just like, I can't get past the AI on this thing, so I'll just listen to it instead of actually watching it. But yeah, so it is what it is sort of scenario. Again, I'm really enjoying the book. No, I'm not. The one book I actually really, really want to pick up again is Kissed by the Gods. That one was I had put it down so I could read this book at such a pivotal moment in that book. Like, it's a life or death fight between her and who I thought would just be like a rival. But it's literally a life or death fight. Like, you have to kill one in order to move on with the book, or with her new life that she will eventually be having, because the book's 500 some odd pages, and I don't remember how many pages I am into it, like 130 maybe. Either way, obviously she survives, or else there wouldn't be no book. But it's like, okay, well, what happens? Like, how do you win the fight? And like, what goes on? That is the book that I really, 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 really want to read right now. And I think that's also detracting me from Henry Tudor Must Die. But we'll see. We'll see if I continue. I really don't want to. I will push through Henry Tudor Must Die, even if it takes me the rest of the next week in order to do it. Beartown, I'm not going to force myself to finish. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But the only reason I'm forcing myself to finish Henry Tudor Must Die is because it is a new release. It is the new release for this month for Her Kid 1. So I really am zeroing in on it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed today, or this morning. I will probably do some sped up reading bits or embroidery bits, depending on how the day goes. And I will talk to you guys later.